This is Season 2, Episode 16 of the Out of the Minds podcast. I'm Sean Oakley.
And I'm Sam Cooper, and we're bringing you an episode that's not really an episode.
Yeah, we are. We're going to do things a little bit differently today because we've just played a game that we're going to review, but we're also sort of not going to review it because
I diced him!
Basically, yes. I mean,
yeah.
So we're both learning new lists. We both made a couple of mistakes in the list, but sort of positioning, action choices, I think we both played reasonably well, and it just came down to, I think there was like a 5-point swing in both red and greens.
Yeah.
And so that is what it is.
Well, combined, right? It was.
Yeah. No. The reds themselves were like 5.5.
Okay.
Just in the reds. Because I was like -3.5 and you were +2.
Yeah.
But what we're going to do is we're going to play the game in the background, and we're just going to have a chat about our lists, our aims. We'll pause at a couple of points because there are a couple of interesting bits, but the majority of it is we go in and
we roll forward and roll dice. Yeah. Like it's not subtle. We're playing Scramble.
We are playing Scramble. So we're trying multi-faction for the Welsh Open Day 2 again. And I have completely changed my list, in fact, from last week. I did say I might. And I have brought Agent Tierney, because I figured people might be trying to, find janky, friendly ship triggers that you really want to work with other ships in other factions and stuff. Or they might just bring what's good, which is the Arcs and B-Wings. And this has a good way of shutting down both those lists and any janky friendly triggers.
Yeah.
Sam teched against me because he knew I was bringing this. But
I didn't know you were bringing it, but I had a feeling you might, and I would run this against a non-Tierney list.
Fair. But with Tierney, I have brought Rack with Death Troopers, Disciplined, Seventh Sister, Skill Bombardier, Seismic Charges, and Dauntless, because Tyranny's Broken Trust obviously helps generate stress, which would give me more opportunities to deny stress removal with Death Troopers, or change it into a tractor with Seventh Sister. Ironically, neither of them come into play this game.
Death Troopers did.
You didn't. Yeah, but you just...
The reason we'll get to it later, but the reason I didn't do a blue move and accept the bump was because I knew I would not lose the stress.
Fair. And then I've got 8 points left over after those two. So I wanted to try a 5-ship list. So I went with 2 3-pointers and a 2. And I brought Tomax, the bomber expansion. Tomax with True Grit, Plasma Torpedoes, and Ion Bombs. Wedge in the A-Wing with ignore the overlay if you're watching because I've had to do it Imperial for the multi-faction. Wedge has got Predator and Marksmanship, and then the Iron Assembler with Discord Missiles and Independent Calculations.
Yeah, just honestly, just standard good stuff after Rack and Tierney, right? Tomax is good, Wedge is good, the Iron Assembler is good.
Yep.
So me, on the other hand, I went a bit different because I was about half an hour before the game was looking through the ships, and I was like, you know what, I want to bring a fire spray, and my list started off as Django, Gendon, and I was trying to slam something else in, and then I looked at Hondo in the fire spray, and I was like, I've always wanted to try this guy. And I even have the card, so my little inner self that hates proxying is I even have this character. And so obviously Hondo's ability is, as an action, choose 2 non-huge ships at range 0 to 3 of you that are not friendly to each other. Each chosen ship may perform an action that is on your action bar even while stressed, in the order of your choice. Then you gain a calculate token. And I thought, I love this ability. If he was in Separatists, I'd probably run him a lot. And I had a feeling Sean was taking Tierney. And so the downside to this ability, where you have to choose ships that are not friendly to each other, suddenly becomes upside depending on which ship Sean chooses. Because it means if he chooses any of my other ships, I just I always coordinate one of them and any of my other ships because they're not friendly to each other. At least that was the plan. And he has Zam crew to make him annoying to shoot, Contraband Cybernetics, Tactical Scrambler, the Separatist Slave 1 title, and BT1 Gunner. Because I knew I was going to have Cad Bane in the Rogue class, so chances are they might have a stress, and BT1 would get me some crits. Slave 1 title, get me some crits. Tactical Scrambler, because Hondo's just going to get rammed up in Sean's face. Contraband Cybernetics, because it's a good illicit. That's enough said. I don't know what else to say about it. And Zam, because it just makes shooting my fire spray a little bit more annoying. Yeah. Because Hondo's going to be shooting last, and if you shoot him and I just have a lock, it just makes his shot that much better. To accompany Hondo on this grand journey, I've brought Sunfac with Ensnare, Predator, Marksmanship, and Targeting Computer, Cad Bane, Scum Cad Bane in the Rogue, with Proton Cannons, Engine Upgrade, the Xanadu Blood title, and Zuckus. Important note, I put it on Cad in this game, which we will get to in the game, because I just forget that. And then Dirge with Marksmanship, Ion Cannon, and Overtuned Modulators. Because I've been experimenting, and this is the Separatist Dirge, I've been experimenting with an Ion Cannon on Dirge, because it's comes in surprisingly handy to have a 3-dice gun that can ping ion onto people, considering everyone's loving locks at the minute. Yeah, having an I5 lock breaker is quite nice.
Yeah, definitely.
And Dead to Rights is still good when you're shooting an ion cannon.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the list. The basic idea was Sunfac gets to boost to I1.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll start the video playing for anyone watching, and then we'll start discussing the list. So at setup, I had to pick a ship for Broken Trust to go on, and I opted to go for Hondo. My thought was all of the other ships have a bullseye attack, and if they shoot the bullseye. I've just realised that Dirge doesn't, does he?
Dirge doesn't, no.
I'm so used to him having proton cannons.
Yeah.
But my thought was that they all had it, and I was like, well, if you pick that, there's much less likely to be ships in that arc, so you're not generating the stress. Hondo has no choice.
Yeah. And also, if I had proton cannons, just getting that crit is a lot easier, so I can ditch it.
Yeah.
Which, hilariously, in my list, I might not actually want to do.
But I think it was a mistake.
Yeah, because the functionality of what that meant was that basically Hondo would move, and his action would be to Hondo, and he'd coordinate himself and a friend.
Yeah. But also,
and then Hondo would do an action, and then get to calculate, and then someone else would do an action on Hondo's bar.
Yeah, but also, it means the stress generation from it is happening at I1, not. Which does me no favours, because, yeah, alright, I might be able to track to you, say, in front of a rock or something, but that's real dependent.
Yeah.
It's not helping me in... I mean, it's helping in the sense that you've still got to take the stress, and Death Troopers, but... Yeah, it was like... What I should have done, I think, is I should have put it... I definitely should have put it on one of the rogue classes. And I think I should have put it on Cad. Because although Cad's got that proton cannon to ping it off, he's the one I care less about you coordinating.
Yeah, I think also the thing that was here is I think we only really clocked it later, and the way Hondo's ability worked, it basically whoever you chose, I would then have to coordinate every single time.
Yes.
And so rather than worrying about the stress you were generating, you should have been like, okay, which ship does Sam not actually want to coordinate every turn?
Yeah, and I think it would have been Cad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because although like Hondo is I1, he's still a fire spray.
Yeah, exactly.
Fire sprays doing 2 actions is really good, even if one of them is calculate.
I mean, it's still calculate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a slight faux pas, but makes it very different. You know, there isn't a right choice.
Yeah,
just slightly less wrong ones.
Yeah, there isn't a right choice. In that none of my ships have cares about friendly abilities, really.
Yeah.
In fact, the only one that has a cares about friendly ability wants them to be unfriendly to each other.
Yeah, exactly.
So like it's one of those things like I would still run this list against a non-tierney list because I wanted to try it, because my baseline thought was I don't care if the Iron Assembler gets a target lock. I want Sunfac to boost and focus, or boost evade, or focus evade, or I want Dirge and Cad to focus, or do a white boost without having to worry about like stuff, especially at I1.
Yeah.
So like, whilst what happened was basically I got to have my cake and eat it. Hondo coordinated himself every round, and then coordinated either Sunfac or Cad Bane or Dirge, or whoever I felt like needed it. And so I was getting effectively 3 actions out of a single activation from Hondo.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, against normal people, against a regular list, wouldn't happen. I wouldn't be able to Hondo turn 1 because against a non-tierney list, because there would be no unfriendly ships in range. It's only like turn 2 to 3 that I can start using it, and that's when the scrum happens. So I can't do setup normally, which I've got to remember I won't be able to do setup, but I will be able to get in and be annoying.
Yeah. But no, it was... yeah, and I kind of just sort of enabled that, I suppose.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, because, I mean, you were talking about my list lacking punch. Or you felt like it lacked punch after Rack and the Plasmas, basically. And that's because, like, I have Wedge in there because, I was hoping that if things get stressed, I can make them tractored. And then Wedge takes a dice, so suddenly you're 2 dice down. So suddenly that 2 dice gun is a bit thing. Oh, I'm just going to pause it here because I genuinely think that move didn't cost me the game, but
I think it definitely accelerated my victory. How about we say that?
I was trying to block Sunfac with Wedge, and it's a millimeter, 2 millimeters.
It's a millimeter or 2. I just pop over the back of you, and then what that lets Sunfac do is tractor, rotate the arch, point at the Iron Assembler, boost himself in, and then I ummed and ahed about whether I was in range 1 of the objective. I didn't think I had it, and so I wanted to make sure that my shot into the Iron Assembler was good, to the tears of sadness when I measured my arc a bit later.
I still think I would have gone for it. Because
I was just like, if I want to, I either want a guaranteed claim, which I wasn't sure, or I was like, okay, I'll take the focus. Sunfac has decent odds at putting a lot of damage into the Iron Assembler, and then Hondo is still there.
Yeah.
And then for some reason I barrel roll the Iron Assembler backwards, trying to put him further out of my arcs. When, I don't really think there was a way I could have moved the Iron Assembler to not be at range 1 of Sunfac.
Yeah. But
Sunfac rolls hit triple blank. I'm like,
and that's the last bad dice roll you.
Yeah, that's the last bad offensive dice roll I have. But during this turn, I was thinking, oh god, no.
Yeah, because like I think at this point I strip Tomax down with a Plasma and Tyranny and that, and I think he takes like the shields and 2 damage cards.
Yeah,
and I was like, okay, and I'm in a reasonable position here because Tyranny can stop and Pattern Analyzer a lock and Proud Tradition of Focus, and it just all goes kaput after that. But it was, I think you're right in the fact that I need something else in the list. So it's basically the 8 points of what do I do with the 8 points after Tyranny and Rack.
Tyranny.
And, I mean, I could go double tapping Bomber, Resistance Bomber, and then Tomax, which certainly has some punch. But then you kind of lose the objective piece, I suppose.
Yeah, you kind of lose the flexibility. I mean, there is something to be said for maybe try this list again, and I'll bring something different that Tierney can get value against.
Or maybe I bring the double tapping bomber and then I don't need Tomax.
Yeah.
Or the other thing I considered is I bring a 4-pointer and 2 2-pointers.
I mean, yeah, that could work.
Like, for instance, Scumcad Bane.
He's good, isn't he?
Good.
He's really good.
What 2 2-pointers would you bring? I
Um,
think it's a toss-up between. Oh, there's so many. All the 2-pointers are good.
you know what?
I've been
the Iron Assembler and Sabine.
See, I was umming and ahhing about Slider. I like Slider.
Yeah, I thought about Slider as well. I was just thinking like two objective monkeys. Sabine has always been a good objective monkey, but on like crates and stuff. And the Iron Assembler is a good objective monkey on claim and assault.
Yeah.
So there you have two good objective monkeys that cover your stuff.
But the problem is Tyranny himself is almost an objective monkey.
True.
Because he's not really offensive. Yes, he can double mod on reds, but it's still a 2-dice gun. He's there to put Broken Trust and give calculates out with Agent Tyrax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? Actually, I think you should have rushed down Tyrax and flipped him.
I mean, didn't I do it in the first 3?
No, you didn't do it in the first turn.
All right. What? So I can start jamming?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
So he can start being Hondo. Like he can start just actively being annoying without relying on his gun.
Yeah, that's true. That is a good point. A very good point, actually. Maybe that's what I should build him as. Look at just how annoying can he be, and hey, if you shoot him, fine,
Who cares?
because you don't lose Broken Trust when he dies, unless it's the ship with Broken Trust that kills him. And honestly, he's going to be unlucky to go in the first round of shooting.
Yeah.
And if I can shut down abilities for the first couple of rounds, that's kind of job done.
Yeah, exactly. Because the other Terrax is you basically roll a dice and you either dish out a calculator or a jam, right? Right? I can't hear you if you're talking, by the way.
Come on.
Still can't hear you.
No, I know.
Okay, there we go. I just heard you.
Come on, you stupid microphone. No. Yes, no.
Oh, I can hear you.
Okay,
yes.
cool. Yeah, sorry, my microphone went kaput. Apologies for anyone watching.
Lovely.
It's been playing up like loads actually, as well. I've got it on the front. Not ideal, but there we go. Where were we? We were discussing something.
Talking about building Tierney to be honest, and then I asked because the other side of Terrax is you roll a dice and it's jam or calculate, right? That's how it works.
And then you can pass one over, I believe.
Yeah.
Effectively, you can if you get the jam, you can jam at range 3.
Yeah.
Which, that would be very annoying. I could put Phasma on as well, actually, and then everyone who gets close to him gets a stress.
Yeah, and that would also work with your Death Troopers. Because you just want ways to dish out stress.
Yeah, because if let me have a quick look at. Let's get rid of that for a second. Slots. Phasma. Oh, it's at the end of the engagement phase, though.
Yeah, but that's fine.
Yeah. Works with Death Troopers, doesn't work with Seventh Sister so much. Unless I can track you in front of a rock, then it'd be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Make do you really want to get into range 1, especially if I'm keeping it near rack?
And also, Tierney just rams into them because it's 0 to 1.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, that's well, we know what we'll be flying next week.
Yeah.
Annoying Tyranny.
Like, because other than that, I'm trying to think. Just as a way of making Tierney annoying. Honestly, like, do you even go down the route of like throwing like tactical scrambler or something?
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know.
But yeah, like I'm not too worried about that. I can play with that. It's the 8 points really of what I do with that.
I mean, I think 4-2-2. I think that would work
4-2-2, yeah.
because that gets you like the likes of a Dirge, Scumcad.
Boudica and the Fang.
Yeah, I was literally thinking you get your Bodicas.
Yeah, there's quite a few 4-point options. Quite a few 4-point
Hell,
options.
Chertek is not bad either.
Yeah.
Because you have Seven Sister to be like, hey, be stressed. Lol, you're attracted. Lol, Chertek.
Yeah, that's true. Oh.
But like, the 4-point range is huge. Like my gut goes to Dirge or Cad because I think the rogue class is just good.
I like the rogue class. I do like the rogue class.
Like whether you go in the proton cannon route or the ion cannon route, I think is either or. I think both are good. I think probably you want proton cannon if you probably want proton cannon just because I think you need a punch.
And if I'm going proton cannon, it's like, I was gonna say I want CAD, but not necessarily. I want Dirge for the i5, but not necessarily because if
I think you want you want Scumcat. I reckon if you go proton cannon because that opens the door to getting Zuckuss, and Zuckuss is very annoying.
And also, with Seventh Sister, I've got more opportunity to tractor people into bullseyes.
Yeah. And also, with Scumcad, you can pass that stress over to a dude and then be like, Seventh Sister, no.
Yeah. Yes, you can.
At least that's where I would go.
Yeah. That's all right. I've got a couple of games to play test, so it's fine. I'm not going to make day 2. I'm not going to play in that because I'll make day 2 at the main event, so it's all good.
Easy day 2.
But I quite like your list. Like we've chatted about mine a fair bit. It's 2 rogue classes which are a pain to kill in their own right, and then one of them's Dirge.
Yeah.
And then Sunfact's just. This was the game where Sunfact did things, but you always have those games where he does nothing.
Well, I thought after the first shot, this was going to be one of those games where Sunfact doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
And then he killed. And he did all 3 damage to the Iron Assembler over the course of the game. I was looking at him thinking like, all right, if my dice weren't hot elsewhere and Rack goes down, then I'm thinking, okay, Sunfact is now spending the next 2 turns doing bugger all, and I've got a barely alive Cad Bane. Dirge is still around, and Hondo's on the retreat.
See, this irritates me, right? This irritates me. Your proton cannon, range 2 obstructed into the decimator. You roll hit, focus, so that becomes a crit. I finally get an evade on a decimator, and you make me Zuckuss it into a blank. I had to calculate for the eyeball. Like, no, of course it's a blank.
Yeah.
And then, look, here's the bit where Cad refuses to die.
I mean, to be fair, at least that roll, I had to spend a focus for one of them, right?
All right. But yeah, it's, it was one of those games.
And then because I didn't understand how broken trust work, I was like, what do I do with Hondo? I was like, well, do I give Cad a second stress? And then you were very nicely like, actually, it doesn't give him a second stress. It's only if they're not stressed do they get a stress. And I was like, okay, we shoot range 0 into Rack then. And we roll 2 crits and a focus because, sure.
And I've got a hull breach by this point, and of course the first one's a direct hit. So there goes direct hit, console fire, weapons failure.
Yeah, and so, Rack's in trouble.
Spoilers, Rack dies next round and we call it, because I ain't doing anything at that point, but...
Yeah, because at that point, like, Rack is dead. Tomax is still around, but he's just a bomber, and Sunfac is nearby.
Yeah, exactly.
Hondo is a fire spray and is untouched. Like, okay, yeah, he's an I1 fire spray, but he's a fire spray.
Like, if Cad had died, So I could have turned multiple arcs towards Sunfac.
Yeah. Then we've got something interesting. But Cad doesn't die next round.
I'd argue my best thing in this game was managing to get a Discord missile onto Sunfac.
Yeah, no, that was good.
In hindsight, in hindsight, I'm wondering if I should have just stuck it on the back anyway to guarantee the crit. Because, you opted.
Dirge did have the option.
Dirge had the shot, and I forgot until you did it the next round that you could tractor off.
Yeah.
So I was only ever getting
what the front one does is it does mean that depending on what I do with Sunfac, I am pigeonholing myself into being out for a couple of turns because at least in because it goes in the front, I move and it follows me, and yeah, I'm going to leave it behind. But if you still put it on the front again, it just means that turning in is a little more tricky.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then you realize no, it's not because you just turn in, tractor yourself off it again.
Yeah.
But that's the idea anyway. Like putting it in front at least makes me think about it.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, like that's just how the game ends. I kill Rack with like a range 2 shot from Sunfac shoots a range 1 dice turret into Rack. I shoot range 0 with Dirge into Rack, and Hondo shoots range 2, and I deal 5 damage to Rack. That's basically what happens there.
I don't think Hondo shoots.
No, Hondo kills.
Does he? Oh, okay.
Yeah, Hondo gets the kill.
Then I don't think you shoot with. Do you shoot with Sunfac? Because
I do shoot with Sunfac. He's got weapons failure. Oh no, I shoot Turney with shots.
I'm
sure I shoot Rack.
Oh yeah, but it was 1-on-1.
It's 1v1.
Yeah,
it's 1v1.
It's the range 0 that really screws me. Oh yeah, so here's us talking about it, whether the barrel rolled off, but no, it's like there's going to be some interesting lists at the cross faction. There'll be some fun.
Yeah,
it's all I want to do. I want day 2. I want to go have fun and enjoy myself. And
I still can't believe that Rack.
I'm a little surprised, but
I mean, it must be by millimeters. So
TTS math says so. So
yeah. Yeah, but like then this is how the game ends. Basically, yeah. Rack gets shot down. The cat takes no damage. You shoot Dirge range 3 with Tierney. You can shoot Cad range 0 with Tomax, and Rack shoots Cad range 2, and no damage is done to Cad.
Yeah.
And then I kill Rack.
I
think Dirge takes a shield maybe, but
I do take a damage from Sunfac. Yeah, and then it's like, all right, fine. Tis what it is, I suppose. Yeah, here's your range 0 double hit.
Yeah,
which is
don't worry. Well, we got the range 0 double crit coming up in a sec.
Yes, we do. Oh look, here's my range 0 back. 2 blanks.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, okay. Rack has an obstructed shot into Kaz.
Of course, it was bad again by millimeters, but that's the way it goes.
I just, double evade out of hand.
Yeah. Oh well, I mean, dice are dice, and you have games like that. I mean, we've all been on both sides of that. It's just, I find it more annoying to lose a game when it's almost solely down to dice. I think we both played pretty reasonably in this game. There weren't. There are a couple of rules things we got because we're both learning new lists and new triggers. But nothing that it really impacted the game.
And I just friggin' forgot which of my rogues had the title.
But no, it was just one of those games we both flew well, and the luck went against me. But if we'd reviewed the game from two weeks ago when you rolled into me, I can't remember what it was. It was the Howl Runner.
Oh, the Howl Runner and Tri-Fighters.
Yeah, and it just went the other way, and that's the way it goes.
Yeah, because it isn't the Hondo shot. I think it's I know, yeah, that was the Hondo shot. I just dealt damage to Rack and killed him, and then we called it there.
And we call it there because there is no point.
Yeah,
going much further.
Yeah, because I think again, this is when I noticed like your list has shenanigans, and okay, if Wedge hadn't bumped, maybe it's a bit different. Maybe some damage is dealt. But like, yeah, if Rack is not like rolling good with good shots,
yeah,
it definitely felt like because like Tierney's not doing much, the Iron Assembler is not doing much. They're not there to do much, but it is winding down your ships.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, we've talked about Tierney because Tierney. The exception is here is like I have a list that doesn't really care about Tierney. In fact, Tierney, my opponent having a Tierney is just upside.
Yeah, but that's unlikely to happen lots over Swiss.
No, because no, and also, who the hell's going to run Hondo?
I don't know.
Just me.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I need Howl Runner. I need Howl Runner.
Why do you need Howl Runner?
For rerolls.
True.
How many points? She's 4 points though, isn't she?
But at that point, why didn't you just bring a T-70 with the droid?
Because Howl Runner can do it for both Rack and a bomber.
True. That's true.
But yeah. Right.
A T-70 with 2 astromech droids, that's what you need. You need an R3 and the reroll droid.
Fair. That would be lovely.
Petition to AMG in that last gasp.
Oh yeah, because I'm sure AMG are going to lift a finger just to let me bend the rules.
Yes, they should.
We can't be asked to save the game, but that one random guy from Cornwall who wants to do some janky stuff, yeah,
we
sure.
We really like his podcast.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, it's been a short one, but there wasn't a whole lot to talk about this game. It was more interesting to see the lists and talk about.
You know what this game makes me think?
What?
Because like, I could basically run this as a separatist list. I replace Hondo with like Aura, and I have regular CAD from separatist. I'm like, how much worse is this list with that combination?
Worse.
Like, how much worse though?
A lot worse. Because you're not getting the coordinate from Hondo. And that CAD is just very good.
You know, right?
Like, so good.
Well, I replace CAD with Dis.
Yeah, I don't think.
Yeah. Like, as in, like, I look at that and think, like, that actually might be a fun list to run.
Well, I mean, it's got to be worth a try.
Yeah.
We'll let Sam get to his list building over the next week.
And list building nonsense.
We'll call it
I can put pre-Vizsla onto Aura. That gets me my coordinate.
I'm not sure when next week's episode will drop because we are at the Welsh Open next weekend. So I may upload it early Friday morning before we leave, or it probably won't be until Monday afternoon, Monday morning.
Yeah.
The following, if we do it when we get back.
I put Hondo onto Aura. Hondo crew.
On that note, I'm going because I don't want to listen to this anymore. I've had enough of Hondo. Thank you very much. I'll just say see you guys next week.
Yeah, and I'll say ta-ta, and I'll bring more Hondo because Hondo is the best.